out. I got it out. Thank you. Thank you. Now I think we're probably ready to do something about the calendar.
Okay. Okay, here we are in Manhattan, like dead center. Like we all can remember that it's New York, named after the Duke of York. And I'm from New Jersey, named after Duke of Jersey. These two acquisitions were taken from Holland in 1653 during the War of Holland and Great Britain. And now they're called the New England, York, and England. And we have Kat here, another Jerseyite who is in New York. And Kat is, I consider one of the most famous pieces of talent. They're doing a big show, Cats, which is about Kat. And we have the Queen of Beasts. We have to. Everybody remembers the King of Beasts, but they never give credit to his dearly beloved wife, Her Highness the Queen of Beasts, and there she is, the Queen of Cats.
That's right.
What a touching moment this is. I mean, I could just let this. I've peaked. My life has peaked. I mean, why go on any farther? But I guess I could go for Secretary General of the UN, so I'll continue trying to hit on you. Now, Kat, we have a choice. Kat sings. I think you might have caught her in one of the shows before. She did, of course, the hit from the show Cats, which was "Touch Me in the Morning" or
Memories.
Memories, and they did a great show with Eric Nussbaum. I tell you, Eric Nussbaum, I believe, Henny Youngman, you better watch out because on his way is.
I know that name.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Jewish humor. It all comes from Purim, you know, and when humor was invented. And who invented?
Amen. Let's go. I didn't have time for cue cards.
No, his name was
I apologize.
Okay.
Eric, you blew it. Look, they can't recover. Please, Phil, take two.
Take two? Okay. Sorry. We're gonna we're gonna play a little tune now. We do Puff the Magic Dragon in honor of because Queen of Beasts is and it's we love children here. We believe that if one can communicate with the young people of the world, the old people have little or no choice but to follow, and particularly with what we're working on here, which is the calendar resolution.
Exactly.
All right. So. I have my pipe, the Piper Party, and for microphone, we'll just tuck this away here, if you don't mind, Princess.
No, that's wonderful.
Okay. I don't know. I was really just being fundamental here.
Mind if I smoke? No.
No, go ahead. If I can too.
Okay, is Puff fine today, or did you have something else in mind, particularly?
Well, I know the sound of music.
Okay, we're going to do Dear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll do a little intro to it, and then when I come back to the beginning of the
I'm going to be like Arsenio Hall, you know, with standing on furniture and stuff.
So is it Puff or Doe?
It's Do a Magic Dear.
We're going to do it here.
Do a Magic Dear.
Dear female, dear, ray, a drop of golden sun, me a name I call myself, far a long, long way to run. So a needle pulling thread, far not too far to sew, tea, a dripping diamond bread, that will bring us back to Doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun, me, a name I call myself, far, a long, long way to run, so a needle pulling thread, one note to follow, so tea, a drink with jam and bread that will bring us back to Doe. A dear.
Oh, we can do it again. Well, that just gives you an idea of the vocal range and the power that Kat really possesses. But we were gonna Kat has done some studying. has on a philosophy paper here of the New Age calendar. And as we
Yes,
know,
I have.
and the New Age calendar is a resolution to the United Nations in the United States to start a scientific calendar based on the scientific measurements of the universe. After the year 1999, to make everything simple for everybody, we go to the year 0 of the scientific calendar. It's kind of like the metric switchover for the calendar. The main reason we're doing this is because the high rabbis have not blessed the Christian calendar, and they have told us that they will not bless the Christian calendar because the AD calendar is based on the birth of a Hebrew, and the Hebrew Torah teaches that calendars are not to be based on people's birth dates, but on the science of what time is. So there's a bit of irony in that calendar, considering it's based on a person whose philosophy was not to have a calendar based on birth dates of people. And to rectify it all, we just start over from 0, a scientific calendar after the year 1999, and begin the New Age calendar at that point. And Kat, you has studied this. Do you have any questions or anything?
Oh, yes, I do. I have a question. I have many questions, like I'm sure all our viewers have questions on this. This is the question I have is why did Christ come 2,000 years ago? Why doesn't he come today? And perhaps the Christian calendar was instituted to remind us of a man that lived 2,000 years ago. And I believe in the year 2000 that the consciousness of the man, Jesus Christ, and the message of the Son of God will be perhaps the human mind, the human race needed 2,000 years in order to evolve to the point where their minds, their intellects, and their spiritual capacity could support, the theory of a Son of God. So I believe at the point, in year 2000, I believe that perhaps our race will be able to accept his birth, and the religion of the world can see a wholeness and be able to discard the prejudice, and we'll be ready for something such as a calendar that you have proposed. So
You're right there, Amy?
That's what happens
She's
when
asleep.
one person
Come on,
gets
audience,
tired.
wake up. This is the best part. We're just getting to the good part now. Everybody wake up. Even the camera person fell asleep on that. Now,
So-
Kat, I feel as though it's a supportive kind of a question, meaning that I'll hold the microphone, meaning that
please do.
that Christ himself was a Hebrew and a believer in the Torah. And the Torah did teach that calendars are to be based on the science of what time was. But a very important fact is that King David, who is the everlasting king as far as the Hebrews are concerned, never started a calendar on his birth date, or would have never suggested to, because he knew the teachings of the Torah strictly stated that calendars are to be based on the science of what timekeeping is. And that Christ, who was a circumcised Hebrew, would never have gone against the Torah in any way. And the Torah is,
For those of us who
it's what we would call the Old Testament, or the earlier books of the Bible, which the book of Leviticus give the
would that be
laws.
Old Testament?
Yeah, the Deuteronomy, etc., etc. There's 5 of
First
them.
5 books of the Bible.
The first 5 books of the Bible.
The Torah.
And as a matter of fact, on page 1 of the Bible, which is quoted on the little pamphlet we see here, it says, God said, let there be light, and let the lights in the firmament of heaven be used for keeping track of days, months, years, and seasons.
Now, this is the most interesting part of the literature that Phil gave me. And I would love for him to speak a little bit more about that paragraph, because I wasn't aware that was actually in the Bible. And I am a believer in the Bible.
Okay, well, that is the That is the reason that King David and King Solomon never started a calendar on any man's birthday, included Moses and Elijah and the prophets, was because that in the early first book of the Torah, the Genesis, the Old Testament, it stated that calendars would be based on science. And that is, so they've been counting, the Hebrew people, since the time of the giving of that law, which they estimate was 6,000 years ago, the time that Garden of Eden was. That Jesus, being a follower of the Torah, never asked to have a calendar be based on his birthday. What happened was the Romans and the people in the north who used men's birth dates for calendars, like Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians, they just out of custom decided to base a calendar on Christ's birthday, because they didn't know any better. Christ said there would come a time called the Omega, and so did the Old Testament, when we would actually have a world that could agree on a scientific calendar, year zero. And this is the fulfillment of that particular prophecy, where we will have a calendar which is based on the measurement of the universe, which is recent science. The last 50 years, we have been able to calibrate that tilt of the Earth's axis. We know now is going like a proceeding every 26,000 years. And by measuring the stars over the axis, we can actually calibrate the expansion of the universe and base a calendar completely on the position of where matter is at a given point, at a given reference point, which will be the year after 1999, which will be the year zero of the AD calendar. Interesting is that people were going to start counting over again just to save time and ink when they write the date. They were going to call, instead of 2001, they were going to call it 1, 2, 3, and by the time they got to like the year 60, 70, 80, they would have forgotten the 2000 anyway. So this is.
I have a question. Was there a linear calendar before the birth of Jesus Christ in Judaism? Was there? Or was there in Judaism, in the world? Did the world have a calendar before the birth of Jesus Christ that's been lost somehow?
The Jewish people used a calendar. It was based on the beginning of the book of Genesis, and they're at the year 4000 at the time of Christ, and they're at the year just about 6000 now. They never started over again. It's something you can really give them credit for. Well, most other calendars were based on men's birth dates. Caesars, they used to come and go. The kings in England, and even the Chinese are based on the Qin, and Buddhists is Buddha, and Hindus, and it goes on virtually forever. And the Muslims use Muhammad's birthday.
So we're talking about a universal worldview, a calendar that can bring together the world in time and space. Is that what you're proposing?
Yep, that's the prophecy that would come, that we would finally base it on science, and there would no longer be the Muslims would use Muhammad's birthday, to Christians, and
we can recognize all men as contributing to history, and we can appreciate each man and each function of spirituality as a resource, instead of something that's going to break the world apart. We can view it as just a piece to a great whole.
Yeah, well, that was the same purpose that they enacted the metric system. The metric system and the centigrade system were enacted to unite the world under one measuring system, and this calendar will likewise give. It's really difficult for the Hebrew people to accept the AD calendar, because it's against their Torah, and it's no fair for the UN or the United States to ask the Hebrew people to use it. And likewise, it's no fair to ask the Muslims and the Chinese and the Buddhists to use a prophet when they have their own prophet. So this calendar will base it on something that is unanimously acceptable.
I would just like to say at this time that I feel that we're witnessing a historical moment at this time, that we have a man before us who has a vision that I don't know how many of us share with him. However, I would like to say at this point that perhaps this is a moment for Phil, where we can see the germination of a new idea being born, and so that I know for myself to Phil's a good friend of mine that I know, and I know for myself that, oh, are we off?
No, you're on.
Oh, that I had to, something deep inside of me, something very deep inside of me was crying inside and says, get this idea. You know, it was like inside it says, I don't understand it. It scares me. Nobody will accept this. I can hear the screams and the yells from the population of the world. I felt as though I in my own body, I represented all the prejudice in the universe as I was witnessing this, you know, this new idea he was sharing with me. So I thought, you know, if I can unearth, you know, that prejudice inside of me, you know, then you know how wonderful it would be to share that with the world. And I think that's it.
She's a charm, isn't she? No wonder she's the queen of beasts. You're unbelievable, Kat, and I feel as though that I've definitely come to like I'm rewarded for all the work that I've put into this. And I guess you viewers have noticed that I've been put a lot of work into this. That I feel as though I've communicated with, you know, if you get your message across to one person, and this goes for anybody, whatever their schmeal is or whatever you want to call it, if you communicate with one person in this world, you've done well. And Kat says we've known each other a long time. I mean, I think it's only really a week.
It's a very short time.
We've known each
But
other
I feel as though he's a good friend because he's been my teacher. And he's opened my mind to a new idea. And this is valuable in a world that yearns to come together, that yearns for peace, that yearns for a universal consciousness, that demands a universal voice of the people and for the people. And this idea, this concept, this is a world, this is a vision that brings together all men. And if we can base a world on a universal vision, we need men like, you know, Phil. Here we are. We're going down in history in this very moment. You know, this is how I feel. And perhaps Jesus spoke of the universal vision of love. I don't know, and I know that you know we will be heard, and I feel very good about this interview and the sharing that we've had this just marvelous exchange between us, and I know that. God is inside of me and God is inside of you, and that somehow we are all alone. We all walk alone, and we're yet we're connected in this mysterious way. You know, that I think you know each soul yearns to know the truth. You know, and I don't think the truth can be denied. I don't think the truth can be suppressed. I think that the body knows the truth and that the truth feels good. You know, I think the truth feels good. And I think maybe getting to the truth is sometimes very painful. But when we reach that point, you know, where we're being true to ourselves, we're there. We're where we're supposed to be.
Wow. You went beyond me at that. You can't go beyond me. I mean, I look like the Mr. Wiz up here of the philosophy, and I do possess some wisdom. But like sometimes there's an inert kind of wisdom of the heart, and we all know that the expression is the heart of a lion. The heart of a lion. And maybe we could get another song. Maybe we could get one more song. Maybe we should. This land is my land. This land is your land.
Yes, definitely.
All right. This time I'll hold the mic here. This time.
This land is my land. This land is your land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.